What's up folks, CrushSG back with part 2 of my mod list video. And as it turns out, it's gonna be part 2 of 3 videos instead of 2. You see, while putting this one together, I realized that covering everything else in just one video would probably make the video something like 30 minutes long. So I decided to break it up into 2 videos instead. Hence, today we're going to be talking about gameplay and quality of life mods that I use, leaving the more immersion-centric gameplay mods for part 3. To keep things a little neater, I'm going to separate the mods into the following categories. The first is direct gameplay altering mods, which are mods that outright change certain aspects of gameplay in some way. 2 would be quality of life mods, which should be self-explanatory. And the final category would be bug fix mods, which are mods created to temporarily address specific bugs that exist in the game at any given time. Now, small disclaimer for context, my preferences for gameplay mods lean more towards simply polishing the vanilla game rather than outright changing it. You can think of it like this. It's about the features that I feel make sense or fit within the design language and intent of the game. It's not about features that fit within the overarching cyberpunk genre as a whole. As an example, flying player-controlled vehicles fits well within the futuristic cyberpunk genre, but I personally don't think it fits within the Cyberpunk 2077 game. Also, and this is more important for this video than the previous one, if you are new to modding, understand that all mods have bugs and all mods can break from time to time. That's just how modding works in most games. And just remember, always check the requirements for every mod that you install to ensure that you have them. Alright, let's jump straight to it, starting with the direct gameplay altering mods. First on the list we have the car Modification Shop by Erock. And this is one of the few mods in this video that currently only has partial functionality in update 2.1. I'm including it because the part that works is still functional enough to make it on the list. As the name suggests, Car Modification Shop introduces a feature that allows players to modify the handling and performance of their personal vehicles in various ways, all for a corresponding law-friendly eddy cost. Now, it is supposed to work for all vehicles, but due to the changes 2.1 made to bikes, the mod currently only works for cars, and Erock is working to fix it as we speak. Now, upon installation, the mod puts a marker on the map, and you get in your desired vehicle and you drive there, and once you enter the area of the marker, you get a modification pop-up with a list of possible modifications. So the mods that you can make to your vehicle are quite realistic and even separate into stages, with the cost increasing proportional to the significance of the mod. You have engine mods, tire mods, brake mods, suspension mods, and even weight reduction mods, and all these mods have a specific effect on your vehicle. For example, maxing out the brakes will significantly improve braking ability of your car. Buying all suspension upgrades not only improves handling responsiveness, but it actually physically lowers the ride height of your car, which in turn negatively impacts the car's drivability over bumps and terrain. Overall, I personally think this should have been a feature included with the base game from day one. It adds a whole new layer of depth to vehicle collection and acquisition. The Car Modification Shop has one required mod, and that is Cyber Engine tweaks. Now, on the topic of car mods, the next mod is a simple one called Vehicle Customizer. And all it does is allows you to change the default appearance of any personal vehicle to that of basically any vehicle of the same make and model within the game. You just bring up the Cyber Engine Tweaks overlay while your vehicle is summoned, and you'll see a drop-down list of available skins for that particular vehicle. Select it, exit the overlay, and that vehicle will have that appearance until you decide to change it again. And this works across saves. Now, this mod requires Codeware, Cyber Engine Tweaks, and Red 4 extension. I know 3 requirements sounds like a lot, but many mods share these requirements, so you'll almost always have to have the same handful of about 5 or 6 resource mods installed for various mods to function. Okay, next we have Upgrade Weapons Unlocked, and this mod simply allows non-iconics to be upgradable like it was before. I personally think it was a really weird decision for them to remove that functionality from the game in 2.0. It made absolutely no sense to me, so yeah, this mod brings it back. So now you have more reason to consider something other than an iconic weapon that you can actually upgrade toward rather than relying on drop RNG. This mod requires RedScript and TweakXL to function, with the optional mod settings requirement that allows you to then adjust certain settings in-game, like the upgrade costs and such. Moving on, we have All Guns Are Cool, and really this mod should just be named All Sidearms Are Cool because it only affects sidearms. What this does is it groups pistols and revolvers into the same gun category as far as perks go. So any perk, mainly the ones in the cool tree, that affect revolvers will also affect pistols and vice versa. Again, this is something I feel makes complete sense. I don't know why they felt the need to separate the two sidearms to begin with. And continuing with weapon mods, we have the max charge bolts, and this mod makes tech weapons fire a bolt at maximum charge instead of having you let go before reaching maximum charge, assuming you have the appropriate perk in the tech tree, of course. Now this should have been classified as a bug fix more than a mod in my opinion, because of how silly the concept of bolts is. Perks are supposed to buff you, but the tech tree weapon perks are so clunky that they don't do anything half the time at best. Or at worst, they just work against you if you get too focused on playing with the bolt mechanic. Anyway, this mod takes care of that and makes tech weapon perks actually logical. Okay, on to the last of the gameplay altering mods, we have ping tags enemies. And honestly, in hindsight, this should probably be in the quality of life category, but I'm just gonna leave it in this one because it does have a rather large impact on gameplay. What this mod does is automatically mark everything that is affected by the ping quick hack. For those who are confused, marking is the action that you perform while scanning to put these markers on targets. You can then pretty much track the marked targets wherever they are in the area. This mod saves the time and effort of manually marking these targets, making ping automatically mark them for you. The mod also allows you to configure exactly what is marked and set conditions for marking. It requires mod settings and RedScript to function. Alright, up next we have the quality of life mods, and there are 3 mods in this category. First, we have Unlock Me the Mods, and this mod requires Red 4 extension, RedScript, and TweakXL. It brings 2 key functions. First, it makes weapon mods removable like it was before Phantom Liberty, and second, it automatically unequips all mods and attachments from weapons when you disassemble them or sell them to a vendor. Again, like so many of the mods in this video, this mod addresses a feature that left me really confused and wondering why they made it that way in the first place. Having mods be permanent makes absolutely no sense from a gameplay perspective. Cyberpunk 2077 makes you want to explore builds and get creative as you play through the game, and making mods permanent completely works against that, in my opinion. So yeah, modders fixed that problem. And the next mod would be Reset Attributes Always Available. And I don't think I need to elaborate much on this one, it does exactly what the title says. So not being able to respec or having limited respecs in any open world RPG has always been a pain point for me, so I installed this mod as soon as I heard it existed. The mod requires RedScript to function. And the last quality of life mod is, surprise surprise, Automatic Junk Scrapper. Yet another mod to fix a change made in 2.0, though admittedly this change didn't quite bother me nearly as much as some of the other ones. For those who are new to Cyberpunk, before Phantom Liberty arrived, Automatic Junk Scrapper was actually one of the perks that we could acquire that automatically disassembles junk that we loot. It was removed in 2.0 and this mod simply restores that functionality permanently. It requires Cyber Engine tweaks to work. Okay, that's it for quality of life mods. Now let's talk about some bug fixes, and I have just 2 on this list, and one of them is kinda debatable as to whether it's a bug that it fixes, so let's talk about that one first. Pyromania Expanded is a mod from pre-2.1 that addressed the weird situation the Pyromania tech perk was in prior to 2.1. For those unfamiliar with Pyromania, it is a perk in the tech tree that grants a stacking buff whenever you deal damage with an explosion. This buff gets significantly stronger if you pick up the other associated perks and can eventually give you up to 25% movement speed and 50% mitigation chance at max stacks. So it's a pretty strong perk. The problem was that prior to 2.1, the description just said damage with an explosion. Yet a vast majority of weapons with explosive rounds did not proc Pyromania, and that led us to believe that this was a bug. So of course modders to the rescue, and we have this fix. Well, as it turns out, 2.1 amended the description to specify that it does not work with weapons, suggesting that it was never intended to work with explosive weapons to begin with. Well, I respectfully disagree. The vanilla form of Pyromania is very impractical because it pigeonholes you into playing only a couple of highly specific builds, and one of them is quite awkward to play. So I'm just gonna cover my ears and maintain that this is a bug, and the mod fixes this bug by simply making every explosive weapon stack Pyromania, period, and thus opening up the possibility of running a whole multitude of other builds with Pyromania. And for those wondering about the Firecracker mod and Pyromania, there is a mod that used to fix that as well, but this one actually got broken by the 2.1 update and it hasn't been updated since. So Firecracker is now back to not proccing any pyro stacks, making it a pretty underwhelming weapon mod on a whole. Better to just use some other weapon mod or an iconic weapon. And finally, the last bug fix is a legitimate bug and one that will be loved by all melee users, and that's the 2.1 finisher bug fix. For those unaware, 2.1 introduced a bug that prevented some finishers from functioning, and this mod fixes it temporarily until CDPR puts out the next bug fix patch. Alright folks, that's it for part 2. Stay tuned for part 3 where I'll be covering the more immersion-centric mods that I use. As always, thumbs up if you liked it, crush that subscribe button, and I'll catch you later folks. Oh, don't get your panties in a twist. I didn't do anything to that driver after that clip. I ain't no cyber psycho.